Alex Pereira's mindset as he prepares for his highly anticipated rematch with Magomed Ankalaev. Many analysts believe that in their first meeting, Pereira showed too much respect for Ankalaev's skill set, particularly his wrestling, and that hesitation may have cost him the fight. Throughout UFC history, we've seen similar situations where fighters alter their approach because of an opponent's perceived strengths. A great example is Khabib Nurmagomedov. Opponents often hesitated to commit fully to their striking because of the looming threat of his takedowns. Even if Khabib didn't always use his wrestling, the possibility of it changed how his rivals fought. According to MMA analyst Dan Hardy, Pereira may have fallen into a similar trap when he squared off against Ankalaev. Hardy explained in a recent interview with Helen Yee that Pereira seemed unusually cautious. He said, "I think maybe he had a little bit too much respect for Ankalaev in the last fight. He wasn't quite sure which hand Ankalaev was going to play." Ankalaev is extremely confident as a striker, but his wrestling has always been a strong backup. Even if he doesn't rely on it, just the threat of it is enough to make opponents freeze. This observation is crucial. Pereira is known for his aggressive striking and devastating knockout power, especially when he can establish his rhythm in close range. We've seen it in his fights with Sean Strickland, where Strickland walked right into Pereira's power, and against Jamahal Hill, where Pereira marched forward and applied relentless pressure. His size, reach, and frame create an overwhelming presence in the octagon. When opponents hesitate, Pereira capitalizes. But against Ankalaev, Hardy suggests Pereira's hesitation may have dulled that dangerous edge. Instead of dictating the pace, Pereira allowed the possibility of a takedown to slow him down. In MMA, hesitation can be the difference between victory and defeat. Now, with their rematch looming, Pereira is already deep into preparation. He's back in Las Vegas, training hard, and even giving fans a glimpse into his fight camp lifestyle. Recently, on his YouTube channel, the former champion showcased the house where he and his team are staying, the very same place they used before his UFC 300 victory over Jamahal Hill. That fight was one of Pereira's best performances, and fans are hopeful he can recreate that form. The big question is whether Pereira will adjust his mindset this time around. Will he push forward with the same confidence he showed against Strickland and Hill, or will Ankalaev's wrestling threat once again create doubt? Ankalaev himself is no stranger to striking battles, and his composure in the cage makes him a particularly tough challenge. As the rematch draws near, the storyline is clear. Pereira must find the balance between respecting Ankalaev's skills and staying true to his own aggressive style. Too much hesitation could cost him again, but if he trusts his power and pressure, fans could witness another highlight reel finish. Whether Pereira can reclaim his title remains to be seen. What's certain is that this rematch has all the ingredients to be one of the most intriguing fights in the UFC's light heavyweight division this year. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way, you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. The UFC has its sights set on one of the most historic and unique events in combat sports history, the UFC White House card, scheduled for the summer of 2026. Dana White has hinted at massive plans for the spectacle, but there's a glaring issue right now. There are no American-born champions available to headline the card. That could soon change, however, depending on the outcome of Corey Sandhagen's upcoming fight against Merab Dvalishvili. Sandhagen, one of the most technically gifted strikers in the bantamweight division, is set to face the relentless wrestling machine Merab in a bout that could determine the next big name at 135 pounds. If Sandhagen emerges victorious and captures the title, it may set the stage for a blockbuster fight against none other than Sean O'Malley on the White House lawn. O'Malley, never shy about voicing his ambitions, recently spoke about this possibility on his YouTube channel. He made it clear that he would absolutely love to be part of such a historic moment. So, who main events that? O'Malley asked rhetorically. I'd absolutely love to be on that card. Corey versus Merab is such a fascinating fight. I'm so curious how that one plays out. But if Corey goes up there, wins the belt, and I beat whoever is next, that matchup makes sense. It could be a massive fight. O'Malley also shared that his timeline is flexible, making him available for the UFC White House card regardless of what happens in the coming months. He explained, I want to fight within the next 4 or 5 months. Whether that's late this year or early next year, I'll be ready. They've said the White House card could be June, could be International Fight Week in July. So count me in. I want to be on that card no matter what. This eagerness from O'Malley speaks volumes about his star power and mindset. Known Known as one of the UFC's most marketable fighters, Sugar Sean thrives under the spotlight and understands the magnitude of headlining a card at such a symbolic location. The UFC White House event is being billed as not just another fight card but as a cultural milestone, an event that could showcase MMA on the biggest political and global stage possible. Still, O'Malley faces some hurdles before that dream matchup can materialize. Coming off a two-fight skid, he needs to re-establish himself in the win column to justify a crack at Sandhagen, or whoever emerges as the division's champion. The bantamweight division remains one of the UFC's deepest and most competitive weight classes, with names like Merab, Pereira, Chito Vera, and others still in the mix. If Sandhagen defeats Merab and captures gold, and if O'Malley successfully bounces back with a dominant performance, the UFC could have the perfect American versus American headliner for the White House card. Stylistically, the matchup would be fireworks, Sandhagen's fluid movement and high-volume striking against O'Malley's creative offense and precision counterpunching. For now, all eyes are on Sandhagen's upcoming clash with Merab. But if things fall into place, Sean O'Malley may find himself on the grandest stage of them all, in one of the most historic fight cards in UFC history. Move on to another news. The upcoming UFC Rio de Janeiro card was expected to be a chance for Ciryl Gane to bounce back after his recent defeat to Ilia Topuria. However, circumstances have changed dramatically. Originally scheduled to face Rafael Fiziev, Olivera now finds himself without an opponent after Fiziev withdrew due to injury. The withdrawal has left the UFC scrambling to find a suitable replacement, and several fighters have stepped forward to volunteer for the challenge. Among the first names to raise his hand was Diego Lopez, who, despite competing at featherweight, offered to move up to lightweight to face Olivera. In an interview, Lopez expressed his enthusiasm. "Why not? Of course, I'd do it. Charles is a legend of the sport in Brazil, and I'd never turn down that opportunity. If the UFC calls, I won't think twice. Yes, my main goal is still the featherweight belt, but if the promotion needs me, I'll step in and fight." Another fighter eager to capitalize on the opportunity is Joaquim Silva. Following his win at a recent UFC event, Silva stated, "I'm ready. Charles is an idol to everyone in Brazil, and it would be an honor to share the octagon with him. This is our job, and if the UFC gives me the chance, I'll take it. I already told my manager, I'd fight him, I'd make weight, and I'd be ready to go." But perhaps the most vocal contender has been Mateusz Gamrot. The Polish lightweight contender has taken to social media to campaign aggressively for the fight. Gamrot directly called out Olivera, posting messages that suggested Du Bronx was hesitant to accept the matchup. He wrote, "I hear you're worried about my style, even though you had a full training camp. I've had none, but I'm still ready to step into the cage. 2 weeks is enough for me. I'm already at training hard. No excuses, let's do this." Gamrot didn't stop there. He even accused Olivera of ducking him, pointing to the Brazilian's record of submission finishes while questioning why he wouldn't face another elite grappler. To drive the point home, he posted a photo of himself holding a duck alongside a caption aimed at Olivera. Olivera, however, recently addressed the situation in an interview with Arte Suave and explained why Gamrot is not a realistic option. He made it clear that the issue isn't fear, it's preparation. "I've been training for a striker like Fiziev," Olivera explained, "someone who comes from a striking background and defends takedowns. With only 2 weeks left, changing my entire game plan to prepare for a grappler like Gamrot is very complicated. I don't want to be pulled off the card because I've trained too hard for this. But at the same time, people need to understand, it's completely different styles. You can't just switch game plans overnight." He added that while Gamrot may be a strong matchup in the long run, stepping in against him on short notice would be unfair to the months of preparation he's already invested. "It's about strategy and game planning," Olivera concluded. "With the fight so close, making such a drastic change is nearly impossible. With the card just weeks away, the UFC will need to make a quick decision. Whether Olivera faces a late replacement like Diego Lopez, Joaquim Silva, or another fighter entirely, fans are eager for clarity. One thing seems certain, Mateusz Gamrot won't be the one standing across from Ciryl Gane in Rio. Move on to another news. The lightweight division has always been one of the most competitive and stacked weight classes in the UFC, with Ilia Topuria now holding the lightweight title after his stunning knockout victory over Charles Oliveira at UFC 317. The question on everyone's mind is simple: who deserves the next crack at the belt? While names like Paddy Pimblett and Arman Tsarukyan have entered the conversation, many analysts and fighters believe the answer is clear: Justin Gaethje. UFC veteran and analyst Michael Chiesa recently weighed in on the the debate during an interview with MMA Junkie, and he made a compelling case for why Gaethje deserves the opportunity more than anyone else right now. Chiesa emphasized that Gaethje has not only done enough to earn the title shot through his resume, but he has also given everything to the sport and the fans, making him one of the most deserving fighters on the roster. Ever since Pereira knocked out Charles Olivera, speculation hasn't stopped about who gets the first defense, Chiesa explained. Pereira himself has said multiple times that he wants Paddy Pimblett, but when it comes to Justin Gaethje, he claims it's not a matchup fans want to see. Personally, I disagree. Justin has done his part and then some. Chiesa pointed out that the timing of the next fight makes the situation even more pressing. If Pereira was going to fight in December, I think we'd already know about it, he said. There are whispers about Paddy, and there are whispers about Justin, but for me, the Justin fight makes a lot of sense, and yes, it's a tough matchup for Pereira. Worst case scenario, even if Justin were to win, that's not a bad thing at all. He's one of the most beloved fighters in the sport. Gaethje's reputation for leaving everything inside the octagon is exactly why Chiesa believes the UFC needs to give him this opportunity. He recalled Gaethje's willingness to take risks, such as when he stepped in against Max Holloway in the BMF title fight. He took a huge chance with Max. Whether or not the UFC promised him something in return, we'll never know, but the fact is, Justin always delivers. He's earned this fight not just with wins, but with blood, sweat, and sacrifice. He's given the fans everything and left pieces of himself in that cage. That deserves to be rewarded. Chiesa also noted the importance of timing in Gaethje's career. At 35 years old, Gaethje is not at the same stage as fighters like Pimblett or Ciryl Gane, who have time on their side to build toward future opportunities. The Paddy fight will always be there. Both he and Pereira are young and will have plenty of chances down the line. Justin, however, doesn't have that luxury. His window is now. If the UFC waits, they risk missing the chance to give him the title shot he has truly earned. As for Arman Tsarukyan, Chiesa believes the rising contender needs at least one more big win before getting his own shot at UFC Gold. Arman's time will come. He's one of the best prospects at lightweight, but for now, Justin should be next. In a division filled with killers, the debate is far from settled. But if the UFC wants to reward heart, legacy, and proven excitement, Michael Chiesa's message is clear. Justin Gaethje deserves the next title shot. Move on to another news. As the UFC heavyweight division continues to evolve, Tom Aspinall finds himself at the center of one of the most pivotal fights of his career. On October 25th, at UFC 321 in Abu Dhabi, Aspinall will step into the octagon against former interim champion Ciryl Gane in a headlining bout that carries massive implications for the future of the division. For Aspinall, this fight is not just another defense of his position at the top, it is his first appearance since being crowned the unified, undisputed heavyweight champion. His status as champion came during a unique transition period following the temporary retirement of Jon Jones, a name still looming large over the heavyweight landscape. With continued speculation about a potential showdown between Aspinall and Jones next year, the stakes surrounding UFC 321 could not be higher. Still, Aspinall admits the pressure is real, but he insists he is built to thrive in it. Speaking at a promotional event ahead of the fight, he addressed how he handles the weight of such a moment. Absolutely, there's pressure, Aspinall said, but there are two kinds of athletes, those who let the pressure wear them down, and those who shine under it. I'm 100% in the latter group. That's where I belong. And I'll add this, it's not just me who's under pressure. Cyryl's in his third title shot. He's failed in the first two. So, yes, there's a lot of pressure on me, but there's a lot of pressure on him too. We're both carrying it into this fight. Aspinall's point about Gane's circumstances is valid. The Frenchman has come close to championship glory on multiple occasions but has yet to secure the ultimate prize. Another defeat could significantly diminish his chances of ever holding UFC gold, making UFC 321 a career-defining opportunity for him as well. At the same time, Aspinall acknowledged that every fight in his career comes with a sense of gravity. Every fight I go into, there's pressure. I don't want to get beat up in front of millions of people. That's the biggest pressure for me, he explained. So, pressure is always there. It doesn't matter if it's a debut or a title fight. It's part of the sport. If Gane loses, his road back to contention could be a long one. If Aspinall wins, however, the buzz for a potential showdown with Jon Jones will only grow louder. Many already consider Aspinall the best heavyweight in the world, and a dominant win in Abu Dhabi would only further cement that perception. Interestingly, Aspinall also revealed that his future may not be confined to mixed martial arts. Speaking with Bloody Elbow, elbow, he admitted that a move to professional boxing could be on the table one day. "If I get to the stage where I've cleared out the division and I've got nowhere else to go, that's maybe something I'll look at," he said. For now, though, his focus is solely on Ciryl Gane, UFC 321, and the pressure-packed stage awaiting him in Abu Dhabi. Move on to another news. Robert Whittaker's legendary MMA career may be entering its final chapters, but the Reaper is not interested in taking easy fights on his way out. At 34 years old, Whittaker has openly acknowledged that he plans to compete only a handful more times before hanging up the gloves. And while the end may be in sight, the former UFC middleweight champion has his eyes firmly set on a major showdown, one that would excite both fans in his home country of Australia and fight enthusiasts worldwide. During a recent episode of the MMA Arcade podcast, Whittaker revealed that his ideal opponent for his next bout is none other than Sean Strickland, the outspoken and unpredictable former champion. "The potential clash," he said, "would be the perfect main event for UFC Sydney next February. I want to fight in Sydney next February," Whittaker said. "That's what I want next. I'd love to fight Strickland. I've been wanting that fight for a while. I think it would be a good matchup. He always brings a lot of attention to cards, and it would make sense for the UFC to book it. Whether he'd come all the way to Australia, though, I don't know." Whittaker has had a rough stretch in recent years. After a shocking first-round submission loss to Khamzat Chimaev in October of last year, he returned in July to face Rainier de Ridder. Despite showing flashes of his old brilliance, Whittaker ultimately fell short by a razor-thin split decision. The loss further diminished the likelihood of another title run, making it clear that Whittaker's remaining fights will be about legacy, entertainment, and securing the right matchups rather than chasing championship gold. Sean Strickland, on the other hand, is one of the most talked about fighters in the UFC. Known for his relentless forward pressure, gritty boxing, and unfiltered personality, Strickland has built a reputation as both a dangerous competitor inside the cage and a lightning rod for controversy outside of it. His style and persona make him a compelling opponent for Whittaker, who is widely respected as one of the most skilled and humble fighters in the sport. However, there's a potential roadblock. As Whittaker pointed out, Strickland may not be overly eager to make the trip down under. "I don't think he'll come all the way here to Australia," Whittaker admitted. "He's had some issues with the Australian government, and I don't think he has the best rapport with them, but we'll see what happens." From the UFC's perspective, the fight makes sense. Both men are proven headliners with strong fan bases, and the matchup itself offers stylistic intrigue. Whittaker's precise striking and tactical approach would be tested against Strickland's aggressive, volume-heavy boxing and durability. Add the electric atmosphere of a Sydney crowd into the equation, and the event practically sells itself. While Whittaker may be winding down his career, he has no interest in fading quietly. If the UFC can make Whittaker vs Strickland happen in Australia, it could give fans one more unforgettable night, and give Whittaker a chance to prove that even in the twilight of his career, he remains one of the middleweight division's most dangerous fighters.